I just read chapter 1 of Atomic Habits by James Clear, and this is my second day of reading Atomic Habits, and this is the second day of taking notes for it and articulating what I learned or what resonated with me or what connected with me. And these are the notes, and I'm gonna read what I wrote. In reading chapter 1 of Atomic Habits, I realized I knew most of this information already from watching videos talking about this book or videos that cited it, and I was kind of bored reading it, or at least kind of bored reading that chapter. But I also thought about the fact that I haven't fully implemented the information from those videos into my life, mainly because I just watched and consumed but never took notes and used that information actively. Now, what the fuck is all that banging? God damn it. They wasn't banging before. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Now I'm going to actually take notes and use that information actively to change my mind and my identity. Because I realized that as much as I was watching those videos, I wasn't fully engaging with the content. It would resonate and I might leave a comment. I might say, oh yeah, we should do this thing, but there's no activity going on after that. It was just like, oh, we watched that. Now we're gonna watch the next thing. And now I feel like with reading the book and taking notes, it's less me consuming it. I feel more like I'm in control of what's happening and I'm not just taking notes from somebody else and trying to apply that to my life, but I feel like I'm way more involved because I'm actually reading the book and I'm actually seeing what works for me. At the end of the day, Atomic Habits is a resource. It is something that I could always come back to days, months, years later and say we need to refresh or this could tackle another part of my life. I may have been bored, or more precisely, glazed over a lot of the text because it didn't stand out from what I already knew. But it doesn't mean I'll stop reading the book. Duh. There'll be more in this book that I may not already know, or that I haven't internalized from previously hearing or seeing, that will be groundbreaking when I read it. There'll be actionable steps that I can take, or words that inspire me to think differently about my process and figure out my systems and how I can make 1% improvement in my life daily. Besides the point of reading this book, one chapter daily, is to take notes, figure out what I learned from it and what I can integrate into my life, which might be easy since he summarized chapter 1 at the end of the chapter. And I assume he's gonna summarize every chapter in the book so that you could understand, grasp exactly on a macro scale what you just read. So that's super helpful. And I can pinpoint exactly what I need to revisit in each chapter and further internalize and embody. Also, another aspect that I just realized about reading this book every day, writing notes and checking in, is, especially on the notes-taking side, me having to read back these notes to myself is a practice that I needed to do because I'm somebody that I would write, or I've been someone who writes notes down, or I might write something out and I will not come back to actually reread it over. It's just like there's an aversion to going back and rereading it because I almost want to say like an embarrassment. It's almost like actors who say that they don't watch some of the movies that they made because it's like they don't like to see themselves on screen. You just did the job and you never go see the movie ever. And that's kind of what I feel like sometimes about how I write. I don't always go back and reread it, and I almost feel like that is part of why I never actually finished a story yet. Actually, when I was younger, the reason why I didn't finish a story is because I would always go back to the beginning and reread it and re-edit it. And now as I've gotten older, and I think with just how society's set up, with how we're always just on the go, we got to keep up with everything, that I don't go back and always reread. That's why proofreading and comments is kind of crazy because I think that people don't proofread because they're just like, I need to get this off real fast and keep it moving. And that is something I'm really trying to work on with me, especially with commenting. If I'm going to comment, let's proofread this to make sure that it makes sense and we're not just saying any old thing. But I think with reading this now, I'm realizing that the more I have to reread this, the more it rearranges my process when it comes to writing anything down, that I got to make it as clear as possible for me on a reread. Not necessarily to edit it in the moment in my head, but just say what you got to say in the moment, but make it as clear as possible so that when you reread it, even if you got to edit it again later, you still understand what the hell you was trying to say in the first place. We got to make it clear and understandable at the end of the day. Also, the point is that I am recording and posting a video of the process daily to build the habit of recording and posting daily, especially the posting daily part. I need to stop overthinking it and just do it. What I've learned is that I need to take small actions daily in the positive direction that I want to go in and allow those small actions, improvements, and decisions to compound into a new identity in the long run. I need to build a system out of those small actions, improvements, and decisions and continue with that system, even though the plateau of latent potential, it's in the book. The moment in the process where you don't see or feel significant changes yet, but the impact and breakthrough of the process is underway under that lack of significant change. I also learned don't focus on the goal, focus on the systems that can achieve that goal, but also systems I can use to continually improve by 1% daily. The next chapter in the book is about how identity shapes your habits and your habits shape your identity. I started this to change my identity. I don't know what identity I want as my outcome, but I know it's better than the current identity I'm living in. Well, actually, also the current timeline I'm living in. Another thing I learned from chapter 1 is that systems give you more options for an outcome. So having good systems in place can open up opportunities for outcomes I can't even imagine are possible and maybe better than my expectations. Whereas having a goal limits me to one outcome or a few that can limit my growth and opportunities as a person. I have a few goals in mind and they can be the foundation for my systems, but not the focus or not the main focus. I do think I may have to do some shadow work on who I am now, the identity I'm existing as in this moment in time, and use that as another part of the foundation of my systems. I don't have to figure it all out today because chapter 1 also talks about the process of building habits, taking time. And with this process of reading this book, a chapter a day, it will take time and patience. And like Dr. Simone Whitmore says, you gotta do the work. And I am adding to that statement, the work takes time, but it's gotta be done. And chapter 1 of Atomic Habits says you gotta have a system in place. And with each chapter read and video posted, I'll build that system, like the people in the comments say about their algorithm, brick by brick. Now, I don't know if this makes sense to anybody else but me, but you know what? That is the point. I feel like with doing these videos, as much as it could be for somebody else, honestly, this is just for me, honestly. No shade to anybody else, but baby, it would be great if other people resonate, but at the end of the day, I gotta do this for me and manage my own expectations of the outcomes of this video. It's something I learned from Ali Abdaal. He touches on input, output, and outcome. I, as a person, or anybody else, can control the input that we put into whatever we're doing and the output of whatever we put into it. So if I'm reading this book, I can input, I'm reading this book 1 chapter a day, and the output would be I learn more things that I can share with other people, and at the same time I also finish the book. I changed my life. I changed the way I think and my trajectory in life and take that into a positive direction. And the positive direction would actually be the outcome. Maybe because I am doing the things I've input this book into my consciousness, and I put into practice the things that I learned from this book, and that is my output. And then my outcome would be whatever comes from the output from me putting into practice what I learned from this book. So I'm assuming that's something that might come up later in the book. And I think that's the one tricky thing that's come up in my mind now is how do you know the difference between if I'm doing a habit that, although I can see it for the good, is this good for me kind of habit? I just worked out the thought in my head that you're trying to figure out, am I going in the right direction? Should I continue doing this thing or should I stop? You have one system of habits that you're going with, but you're not satisfied with the output. Your output feels like it's more of a plateau. Are you going in the right direction? Or is it just that this is the wrong path, this is the wrong system of habits that you're using, and maybe you shouldn't go in that direction? But I realize the answer to that question isn't necessarily that you're going in the wrong direction. Actually, you are going in the wrong direction. The reason why you're going in the wrong direction is because you have a certain expectations or a certain goal set, and that goal is what you're striving for. And if your output isn't getting you the outcome that you want, then you might pivot to something else, a different set of systems that you can try to get to that outcome, but they're just not the best system for you compared to if you follow a good system of habits that, although it may not give you the outcome, the kind of goal that you want, it will get you in another direction that is just as good or even better for you. And you're still, as a person, in a very good place because you are taking on good habits. You're in a system of good habits, and they just lead you in a better direction, a better outcome. I just had a breakthrough, a realization that the way to figure out if you are on the right path of doing a system of habits, which I'm probably sure he's going to bring that up in the book, is to, he said in the first chapter, not limit your goals, your expectations, your outcome to just one thing, but stay on track in that system of habits area where it's like these things are good for you. If you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're getting stronger, you're getting more flexible, more fit, you're feeling good, you're feeling healthier, you're eating good food and all that stuff. But I'm not looking like a bodybuilder, I'm not looking like this person that has the dream body that I'm going for. But you still got a great body and people are still interested in you. And what if you're not supposed to be a bodybuilder? You're not even supposed to be an aesthetic builder. You find a way to be something that you're still happy and proud to be, and not limit your potential, your goals, your growth to just being just one thing. I'm excited to see what I'm gonna read in the next chapter, because the next chapter is how your habits shape your identity. And that's the one thing that I wrote in the book, is that I'm not going to focus on one particular identity that is my outcome, because I don't know what that's gonna look like. I don't know what that's gonna feel like exactly, but I know, and maybe I can use ideas, certain examples of an identity that I want to build my systems, but I'm gonna be my individual self. I'll figure out, we'll see how it all plays out and how it works out. I just have to stick to the habits and the system of habits that are that are propelling me in a positive direction, that is improving me mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, all of that. And the quotes that I walked away from in this chapter are: success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. And the classic quote of this book: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I'm gonna need to write that down and stick that up in my room, so that is one of my reminders that I'm taking away from this book. Baby, I'm about to change the identity. My identity's about to change. I'm excited to see what that's gonna look like, but I also know that I'm currently working with a roadmap that I don't know where it's gonna take me, but I know it's supposed to take me in a good place. That's all I know. I know it's supposed to take me in a better place than I am. I don't know what that better place is going to look like, and I think because I don't know what to expect, my expectations will be low. My expectations will not be high to the point that when I get to well, if there is a destination, there won't be a destination. Anything I experience is never ever going to be disappointment. It's always going to be, baby, I didn't even know I could be here. This is who I could be. I didn't know I could be that, or I could experience this. And it is because the habits and the systems were set up to take me somewhere better than I currently am. I didn't know where I was going, but when I showed up there, I was blown away because my expectations were zero. They weren't even low, they were zero. So actually they're probably low, because it's gonna be something better. It's just that, girl, I don't know what it looks like, and it's probably gonna be crazy. It's gonna be amazing, or it's gonna be just better than where I'm at. It's gonna be, I don't know, maybe it's more space. It might not be a big house. It might just be like living in a walkable city, and less pollution, more being outside in grass, more time with family and friends, less anxiety, less trauma. It's gonna be better. I just don't know what that better is gonna look like, and that's a good thing because it takes away the expectations and the anxiety. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I am out this bitch like Fleek. Shout out to Peaches. Thank you, girl. I'm gonna be back with more notes and more thoughts.